Just a brief primer. Here are the questions you need to ask yourself. Do you have basic emergency preparedness measures? I mean, even for a tornado or a flood. Do you have just the basics? If you don't, you should. That's number one. So, you really need your emergency preparedness kit. Does your family have a plan of communication? Do they have a plan for getting together in case of an emergency? If a tornado hit, if flooding happened. Lots of places are flooding this year. Get your family to get a plan for getting together or meeting at a place. In fact, you can find excellent information from the FEMA website on how to create a family plan for joining up after an incident, what to have in your emergency pack. Irony is so ironic. Anyway, remember, you're in charge of you, and then you're in charge of your family. Make sure they're okay. Get a plan together. Gather up some meeting points where you can get together. You may need them for anything that goes wrong, really. I mean, any disaster can strike anywhere. Look at the flooding in the central part of the states this year, the horrible tornadoes, Katrina. You need a plan. Get your plan together. Ask yourself a few other questions. Could you live off the grid? I don't know if I could. I still don't know. I still have a lot of work to determine whether I could ever live off the grid. The electrical grid. The grid that'll go down in a huge national crisis. Electricity. You depend on it. What are you going to do when it's not there anymore? You have to be able to answer that question. Can you survive without the grid? Can you get along without the grid? I'm not saying emotionally, I mean physically get along without the grid. Remember, gas pumps are operated by electricity. Remember, ventilators are operated by electricity. Remember, refrigeration is operated by electricity. There are not enough windmills and solar panels around to get you off the grid right now. I know I don't have solar power on my house. I wish I did, but I don't. I don't have a windmill, and I don't know where I'd put it because there are too many trees around here. But would you be able to live off the grid? How much gas do you keep in your car all the time? Is it at least a half tank or 3/4 tank full? Mine isn't now, it's a half tank full. You may have to readjust your thinking. Okay, for readiness. I'm not saying weapons, I'm saying survival gear. I'm saying food, water, comfortable shoes, bringing a coat when it's summertime because you may not have your coat in the winter time. And you'll want it then. How do you protect yourself? You know, I don't know. If there were a national emergency and there were rioting in the streets, I have no idea what I would do, truly. I'm still trying to work it out.
There's 2 bodies of water.
But at least I'm thinking about it.
Creating liquid surges.
I'm trying not to think about it all the time.
And mocking eddies.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the worst possible? I don't know if I am either, but I bet I'm a little bit ahead of you because of 9/11. A little bit. I never showed you my emergency kit, mostly because I think it's rather ingenious, but it's probably not. How do you make a toilet out of a plastic garbage bag? Do you know? Do you know? If you have trouble walking, should you maybe take a cane with you? Do you know? Do you know? Did you know that there are propane heaters that you can actually use in a house if there's enough ventilation in the house? Did you know that? I didn't, till I bought one. I don't have that much propane though. No. Little tanks of it. My emergency kit would go for days. It would certainly not go for months or years. Now, either I'm Blanche Dubois and I depend on the kindness of strangers, or I don't know why. What about when my kit is done? Everything in my kit is gone. What do I do then? I don't know. But I have to think about that. What clothes could I wear if I had to leave now? Right now. How many layers of underwear? How many layers could I tolerate in hot weather so I would have them during cold weather? People have been stuck in these situations. Who's to say it wouldn't happen again? Nobody. So, take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Do you have a radio that would work on crank power? I do. But, do you know how to do ham radio? I don't. And frankly, if anything happened, it would be the ham radio operators that would probably save the day. Because they'd be the only ones, possibly, that could communicate with other people in the country. Do you have a generator? I don't. Could you live off the grid? Look at me. Got electricity all around me. My whole job is electricity. Without electricity, really. So, thank you for listening if you went this far.